What's up, guys? This is the 2020 Honda Grom, but this will apply to tons of different Groms and Monkeys and other models with the Keihin little throttle body. What we're doing is adjusting the actual idle speed. You have to take off the bodywork over here to get to it. This little bitty screw, if you can see underneath here, there's a little bitty screw, and you got to break it loose first with a little 7mm nut. Is right under there. It's basically what's turning, it's what's pivoting this throttle cable mechanism right here where the pulley is and all that. Okay, so I'm unable to show it to you specifically, but I want to crank the bike up and just show you what happens. If yours is idling slowly and you've checked everything else, make sure you check the air adjustment, the air screw on the other side. It needs to be set at about 2 turns out from closed. So make sure that that's spot on first. If your bike won't idle at all, you probably have other issues involved here. If you've modded it out to the bejesus and whatever, you probably have other issues. But if everything else checks out and you've adjusted your air mixture screw on the other side, come over here and we'll tweak on this little guy right under here. Little bitty thing. And you need a tiny little 2.5mm Allen. You can also use a T10 Torx. But the issue is it's just very tight in there. You can't come from this way unless you want to disassemble everything, which I guess you could do that, but it's just hard to get to. So, but you can get it with a teensy little Allen that'll be right in there. I can get it in it. There we go. Okay, see right underneath where that, see where the Allen wrench is? That is your idle speed adjuster. Okay, so you have to break loose the little lock nut first, and it's got some paint on it from the manufacturer as a setting point. So you have to break it loose a little bit, then warm up your engine, make sure it's good and warm, run it for a good 5-10 minutes. The manual says 20 minutes, but whatever. Make sure it's good and warmed up before you do any adjustments to this stuff, and we'll show you what it sounds like. Alright. Let's fire it up. Alright, that's around 2,500 RPM, which is obviously too fast. And if yours, pops a lot, won't stay idling, that means it's running lean, or you've got air leaks coming from somewhere, either around your air box or your snorkel. You've got some kind of air leak that's causing it to sputter and not stay idling. That's almost always a lean issue, meaning too much air and not enough fuel. Okay? Well, let's get under here now. That's a little too fast, so we need to loosen it, as you see. Very simple. It needs to be idling around, 1,1500 RPMs once it's fully warmed up. That shows right around 2,000. So as it warms up, the idle might pick up a little bit though. So, you just have to be patient with it and let it fully warm up. Now they sell aftermarket adjuster assemblies where you can actually just turn a knob like on some of the 4-stroke motocross bikes. That's handy to have, and you would install it at this same point right here. A little bit less, but if you notice, that is the idle speed. Borderline too slow. We'll pick it up just a tad. to it, new exhaust system, you know, all kinds of little tweaks and mods to it. You might have to adjust the air mixture screw on the other side there, because if it's warmed up and it's not idling smoothly, you know, if it's like picking up and kind of sputtering a little bit, that usually means the air mixture is slightly wrong, and you just tweak that with your little flathead screwdriver on the other side. And if it pops like that, that also usually means the air mixture is a little bit off. Alright, now we're at the other side. Notice the idle is a little bit erratic. You know, it should be really smooth. Alright, so you come here, this little plastic, be careful with this little plastic screw right here. Don't strip it. But usually when it's sputtering like that, that's too lean, which means this screw is open too far. So tighten it down, 1/8 of a turn. Listen to it. 1/4 of a turn. Alright, now remember, this is a fuel injected bike now, so adjustments you make might take a few seconds for them to take effect and for them to really sound proper. Alright, but notice the idle is smoother now. It's still got a slight pop on deceleration. Bring it down just a tad more. That was 1/8 of a turn. Listen to the difference. And if it hesitates on cracking the throttle, that means it's lean, which means too much air, which means that screw is open too far. Make sure she's fully warmed up when you're making these adjustments. You know, it should be hot, engine should be hot, exhaust should feel hot coming out of the pipe. This exhaust is not fully hot yet, so it's still warming up. Okay, now it's just tons of questions that people have on which screw does what. This screw mediates how much airflow is going through the system. The other screw is the actual throttle stop or throttle speed. They are two different things. I still think that's slightly lean. Like ever so slightly. Down to idle quickly as well. It shouldn't hang up for a few seconds and then drop down. You know, as soon as you let off the throttle, it should come back down to its resting idle. Anyway, I just noticed there was just tons of questions about that stuff with these models, so just wanted to give you a few little tips here, you know, on how you can tweak yours and tune it just a little bit better. Make sure you got the proper spark plug in. Make sure that you got the correct exhaust gasket, you know, right there coming out of the head. Make sure your crankcase valve, you know, little vent, liquid vent right there under the airbox. Make sure it's free of any liquid. Make sure the airbox is bolted in place as well. Make sure it's all secure and not hanging open. Make sure, you know, just make sure the obvious is correct before you start panicking and tweaking screws to the bejesus and whatnot. You know, make sure you do the obvious first. There it comes. Now she's about warmed up. Yeah. check out our channel. We have more stuff about this bike and others. And make sure you Google Horsepower House. We're all over the internet, including eBay, Amazon, 2 used boot channels, and Facebook. You'll have a good day. We'll see you.